I'm Nick Fearn and I'm the founder and editor of Tech Dragons. Tech Dragons is essentially an online platform and publication covering science and technology across Wales. I'm also a freelance journalist covering technology for publications like Forbes. I set up Tech Dragons in 2015 as a way to promote technology in Wales. The idea for Tech Dragons came about 4 years ago. I was doing my A levels and I had an interest in technology and journalism, and I did a placement in my local newspaper and a skewer day column writing about technology. And I can remember going along to an event at Tech Hub, which is a co-working place in space in Swansea, and I went along to write about it for my local newspaper, and I was inspired by the fact that there was a community of tech entrepreneurs and startups in Wales, and this is something that you wouldn't necessarily assume is happening in Wales. I went along to this event and I was really surprised about this community of growing tech entrepreneurs and innovators in Wales. When you think of technology, you automatically assume of places like Silicon Valley, and this was happening in Wales. And what surprised me at the same time was there was no one in Wales actually writing about this industry. It was that kind of like this industry was kind of blossoming, but there was no one on the scene actually giving it a voice, and I wanted to change that. And at the same time, I was doing my A levels and I was about to go to university, and I wanted a project to do, and I can remember meeting Matt Warren, who is co-founder of Tech Hub, by the idea of setting up an online publication covering technology in Wales, and it kind of went from there. And I can remember from the start that I was really ambitious about setting up this website, and I can remember speaking to established media professionals, and many people were kind of like it would be almost impossible to take on established media brands and that. Part of my journey, I would say that resilience has been a really big thing, because I was diagnosed with Asperger's, which is a form of autism at the age of 14, and I'd been 3 years into comprehensive school, and kind of like my parents, started noticing traits, and I was going through bullying and everything, and it took 3 years to get diagnosed. And when I was in this school, I can remember having days when I'd be getting bullied by students. I can remember not fitting in, and kind of my teachers assumed that I was kind of like a waste of space, that I wouldn't go very far because of my disability. And it kind of while it was disheartening, it kind of like it inspired me to write. I started my own blog called Gadget Expert when I was in comprehensive school, and it was kind of like it was a creative relief, and everything. And I would write to companies like Samsung, Motorola, all these big technology companies, and like the A-list Gadget Expert, and they would send me like phones to review and everything. And I did that for a few years, and while in school, when I was kind of like after I was diagnosed, my parents started trying to secure a statement, which is essentially like a government-binded document that can help you get support for your disability. And when they got that for me, I moved to a more suitable comprehensive school. And in that school, because the last school I was in, I'd predicted that I was going to fail my GCSEs and everything, I was automatically put into the bottom set of everything. And even though I'd been blogging for a few years, and I'd always had this passion for the English language and writing and everything, this creativity, you know, when I was moved to the school, I was really disheartened and demotivated when I was in the bottom set for English, and it turns out that my head of English in the new school, she came across my blog, and when she saw my writing, you know, I'd interviewed the then technology editor of the Guardian and that, and they moved me to the top set of English, and you know, that's when my confidence started to improve, because you know, she believed in me, she could believe that I could write, and she, you know, all the years of education that I'd missed in the previous school, she'd kind of like helped me to like prepare for my GCSEs and everything, and it was like that. I still started blogging, and that kind of, you know, inspired me to, you know, to go to do an A-level in English, and then to actually go into university to study English language and that, you know, and if it hadn't been for that one person believing in me, and my parents, you know, pushing me along the way and everything, you know, I could be in a very different place right now. I think, you know, one of my biggest lessons I've learned over the years is that, you know, when people say that you can't achieve things, you know, don't let things dishearten you. You know, believe in yourself, and you know, embrace the journey, and you know, you'll go far than that. You know, being told, you know, that I was going to fail English and that, it, I knew myself that I could write, because I'd been doing it. I'd been blogging for a few years and that, and you know, I knew that I wanted to go on to university, and you know, become a writer and that, and I would say that, you know, being told that I couldn't just made me want to do it more. I'm really proud to be Welsh, and I'm really passionate about technology and, you know, this industry, and I really want to keep growing tech dragons, and you know, discovering more technology businesses in Wales, and putting them on the map, you know, while kind of like growing my career in technology journalism. I think what excites me the most is the fact that, you know, I see every day as a new day. When I set up Tech Dragons, I had this vision to, you know, create a online publication about technology in Wales. And what's been quite amazing with that is, you know, the platform has grown as the industry has grown. I can remember setting up Tech Dragons at a point when the industry was in a very early stage. You had a handful of technology companies and entrepreneurs in areas like Swansea and Cardiff, but you know, there's a lack of infrastructure, and as the industry has evolved, and organisations like Being Spark, Transfer Tech, Innovation Point have popped up, I'd say that, you know, the platform has grown as the industry has evolved, and what I've noticed as well is kind of like, you know, you know, there was a genuine need for, you know, a platform to give the industry a voice, and I'd say that the community getting behind Tech Dragons, you know, that's been a big part of its success. While content is a big part of Tech Dragons, I've also had the opportunity to collaborate with different organisations and different co-working spaces to run TD meetups in Cardiff and Swansea, and the aim of these meetups is to, you know, bring together, you know, the community, you know, whether it's tech entrepreneurs, whether it's, you know, it's technologists, whether it's, you know, it's people from government, you know, to bring them into a space where people can actually network, share ideas, and that. So in total, I've organised over 10 of them, and you know, from a personal point of view, I can remember wanting to set up my own tech meetup, but you know, there were some really established events already running, and I can remember, you know, thinking, you know, is this actually going to work or anything, but you know, the industry got behind them, and you know, they actually did succeed. As someone with a form of autism, hosting and organising these events really has improved my confidence and has helped to push me out of my comfort zone. One of the highlights of running Tech Dragons for the past 4 years is that I've really got to see the technology ecosystem grow. And while I would say that we're at a really good stage now, what I'd like to see more of is, tech communities in areas like Cardiff and Swansea coming together more and collaborating more. Because I still think, while the industry has evolved massively from the time that I set up Tech Dragons, I'd say there is still, you know, this mindset that, Swansea's competing with Cardiff, and, North Wales is disconnected from the south and things like that. I think, what I would like to see a lot more is collaboration between different tech clusters around the country. I set up Tech Dragons the summer before I went to university, and one of the things I've got asked quite a lot is how I actually managed that alongside my degree. And I did an English degree, so I was quite lucky in the sense that it was only 8 hours a week. But I have to admit, it got a little bit more difficult in the second and third years. When the grade counted, and I had loads of essays to do. And to be honest, what kept me going was passion. I've always loved writing, and I've always loved technology, and the idea behind Tech Dragons is generally helping to grow the tech ecosystem in Wales, and watching the impact of the events I've had, the content I've had, that spurred me on to do it. I think a big part of setting up any project or business is commitment, and I set it up before I went to university, and I knew that failure wouldn't be an option, that I wanted to keep going it and everything. And while I would have like loads of deadlines for essays and everything, I spent a lot of my my free time, when I wasn't in lectures, on weekends, writing articles, going to events, running the meetups, and growing the platform, and watching the impact that's had on the industry, giving people a voice, that's kind of spurred me on. I can remember when I organised one of my first meetups in Cardiff, and a couple came along, and they had this idea for a health tech company, and they pitched their idea to an audience of industry delegates, and they actually met someone who was running an accelerator at the time, and off the back of that they were able to raise early investment. Seeing the impact that Tech Dragons is having on the industry keeps me motivated. One of the biggest challenges I've had with Tech Dragons is that I set it up at the same time when I was growing my own career as a freelance technology journalist, and there was a point in the second year of university where Tech Dragons was growing with momentum, at the same time as I was writing for the likes of Computer Weekly, the Next Web, Tech Radar, and many other publications. At the same time when I was like in the second, third year of my degree, and I think time management has been a big learning curve in that. Prioritising different things, and there were times when I've thought I've kind of like taken on too much and everything, but you just got to keep thinking in your mind that you set that up for a reason. And I had times when I thought I was going to actually have a breakdown, or that I'd taken on too much, but what kept me going was my passion and drive. One of the biggest assets in kind of like my career as a journalist and for Tech Dragons is social media and networking. I say that never be afraid to go to industry events, never be afraid to utilise social networks like Twitter. And one of the biggest lessons that I've learned through Tech Dragons and my early career as a journalist is that networking is key. Don't be afraid to join Facebook groups like Start, and to post. Don't be afraid to go to events, meetups in the industry and that, and just put yourself out there, because you might be, you'd be surprised that, who you might meet, and who might be able to help you reach, goals, or the next stage of your career or business journey. When it comes to writing, you've really got to be passionate about the subject you've chosen, otherwise it can easily feel like a chore. You know, I'm lucky with Tech Dragons because I've always had a genuine interest in technology, and you know, I just love telling stories of, you know, change makers and, you know, people doing amazing things in Wales. I think one of the challenges startups face is you know, they're not necessarily good at telling their own story. And you know, I set up Tech Dragons as a platform to be a voice for the industry. So you know, if there's something you're really proud of, or you know, you have something you want to say, you know, Tech Dragons more than anything is a community tool. It's somewhere, you know, where you can shout about your achievements. A lot of people are like amazed that, you know, when they look at, you know, you write for these people, you do this, you verify, do this, you that. I don't think too much about it because I didn't do journalism or anything like that, you know, for money. I didn't do it for like ego. I didn't do it. I did it because, you know, I've always loved writing. You know, one of the biggest lessons I've learned is that, you know, when you set up anything, you know, success won't happen overnight. You know, it's years and years of you know, hard work and determination, and you know, the community getting behind you. I never set up Tech Dragons to make money. I did it because at a point in my life, you know, I wanted something new to do, and I genuinely wanted to help the startup community. You know, and it's been years of hard work and determination, and you know, it's helped me, you know, reach a new audience. It's helped me grow my network, and you know, to actually now be able to be making money out of my writing is amazing because you know, I just love what I do. When it comes to freelancing, there are obvious benefits like, you know, being able to work flexibly, being able to work from home. But the great thing about it for me is the variety. You know, I could be writing about tech for good 1 minute and planning my next event for Tech Dragons next. And you know, that flexibility and variety just keeps me going.